So you work a lot of jobs in life. My first job ever was McDonald's. I worked there for my entire last year of high school. That's the Arc de Triomphe behind me. Anyway, I've noticed the workforce is ordered in a hierarchy, but not the hierarchy you'd think. The bottom and top are full of smart people, but I'll just say it. The middle is full of idiots. Smart people start at the bottom and then usually rise to the top. But this middle area is as far as the lazy and uninformed get. This is your standard middle management, and it's the Peter principle at work. That in a hierarchy, employees tend to rise to their level of competence. And when you're young, your bosses, these are all the people you have to deal with. And it feels like there's always going to be some idiot above you. But I promise if you persevere and stay a little bit hungry, you'll rise straight above them. Act 2. So I've been thinking a lot about how successful people make money. And it seems to boil down to this equation. The amount of value you can offer, multiplied by the amount of people you can offer that value to. What does that mean? I'll be honest, I've worked a lot of sucky jobs. An average workday for me would go like this. I'd come in, stand around for 8 hours in a mild depression, and have to listen to my coworkers gossip about other coworkers. I'm just counting the time until I can leave. And if you're anything like me, you want out of it. So how the heck do you get out of it? By looking for opportunities that measure value output over time. Most jobs don't measure your value, they measure your time. It doesn't matter how hard you work during the 8 hours, they always pay the same. You want jobs where the harder you work, the more you deliver on, the more money you make. You want jobs where you can quantify your value and deliver that value to as many people as possible. That's what all these rich people mean when they talk about scale. Those two variables give you leverage on earning, and finding a job that has leverage is so important. Otherwise, I'm not sure it's possible to become really wealthy. A good example of this is YouTube. YouTube runs on this equation. Ultimately, to live off YouTube, it doesn't matter how much time you spend on a video. What matters is how good your video is and how many people watch it. It's all about value, which is why I think it's great that the Vlogbrothers are able to rake it in. Act 3. So there's this thing called the Laffer curve. It was invented by this guy, Arthur Laffer, in the 80s to explain government tax revenue and justify 2 bad decades of trickle-down economics. And cutting through a bunch of obtuse mathematics, the concept is simply this. If a government taxes people too low, it doesn't get enough revenue. But if a government taxes people too high, it doesn't get enough revenue either. People start wiggling out of pain. This shaded area is showing where the tax rate is theoretically counterproductive. So somewhere in this curve, there's an optimal medium. But forget boring taxes. I think the curve applies to government power and how wealthy a society is. Down here at the bottom of the graph, too many laws are too big of a government, and it stifles creative growth and risk. You don't get the great American novel by appointing a state committee and hiring people to write it. No, it comes out of the woodwork, by an American author who just has his finger on the zeitgeist. Conversely, up at the top, with total civil liberty, too few laws and a lack of government means no infrastructure. And the lack of infrastructure really hampers creativity and economic growth. My friends talk about anarchy, but there's a reason why no good films come out of Somalia. That reason is this curve. That's why it's important to know what your government is doing. Too much or too little, and it'll interfere with Act 1 and Act 2.